Hello, everyone. My name is Rochelle Slay Queen Hemingway, and I'm the CEO and founder of Slay to Success. I will be on Tea Time with Bunky on February 29th. Thank you for tuning in to the video. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky. This is Message. Hi, Dan. All right.
Welcome to Tea Time with
Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky. This is super recent. Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky. I missed you guys. I really did. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky. I would like to thank you all for tuning in tonight. To all of my regular YouTube, Facebook, Tea Time with Bunky subscribers, thank you for being on this journey with me. For all of my new followers and subscribers, those that are just tuning in for the first time tonight, welcome. Enjoy the ride. A little bit about Tea Time with Bunky really quick. It's a place where there are enlightened discussions, empowering stories, and the dialogues you've been longing to hear. So I'm just asking you to tune in, be a part of the conversations that resonate with your community, basically resonates with the world. So that's Tea Time with Bunky. You can catch Tea Time with Bunky live every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And on Thursdays at 8 a.m., you can catch me on Zeno FM, Zeno.fm, with additional online supports for radio music box on Culture Shock Radio, which is in Canada, Rock Box Radio, Radio Facero, New Mexico, WAP the Music, which is in Guadeloupe, a Caribbean island, a French Caribbean island. Sundays at 12 p.m. on Confidence Radio. These are all powered by Zeno FM with additional online support from Radio Music Box. And it is airing in 191 countries. And if all of that was kind of hard to figure out, just download the VGN, Village Global Network app, which is on Android and iOS. So just download that. Then you'll be able to find the stations. 191 countries, y'all. My guest tonight. Oh, before I bring her on, let me remind you all, this is big election season. We talk about it. Make sure y'all get out there and vote. You don't have a voice, can't say nothing, because this is a hot mess. This is a mess. Oh snap. I just realized I'm talking to a veteran. So this is going to get pretty, this is going to be pretty good. My guest tonight, Miss Rochelle, the Slay Queen Hemingway. A little bit about Rochelle. She grew up as a child in the United States of a child. Wait, rewind. Her father was a United States Air Force veteran for 23 years. He dedicated 23 years. Thank you for your service, sir. Her life was a journey across the globe, culminating in settling life in Kokomo, Indiana. Never heard of it. I think I heard of it in a song. We'll talk about that. Where her father retired. She's a Northwestern High School alum, briefly attended Indiana University Kokomo Community College. At the age of 18, she was inspired by her father's legacy. She embarked on her own Air Force career. Air Force, dear to my heart. My uncle, may he rest in peace, was an Air Force service member. Her service took her around the world, culminating in over 30 years of distinguished service. She retired at the pinnacle of an enlisted ranks and leadership, overseeing a base of more than 8,000 individuals, y'all. In retirement, she channeled her experience into authoring Slay to Success, launching Slay to Success, LLC, and earning a Master's of Science in Strategic Leadership. Her passions lie in the realms of leadership, health, and fitness. You guys, she's a speaker, an author, a USAF veteran of 30 years, founder and CEO of Slay to Success. That was a lot.
Bunky, you did good. I was like, Lord Jesus, get through the acronyms, get through the titles. It's just a whole
Listen,
lot going on there. So thank you
before,
so much
listen,
for
thank
getting through
you.
that.
Listen, I appreciate you. And I thank you so much for your service.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for giving 30 years of your life to our country. That's a big
Yeah.
thing. So, outside of everything I just went through, tell everybody
Hello,
a little bit
everybody.
about you. Yes, tell everybody a little bit about you.
Well, I am here in Odenton, Maryland, y'all. So wound up here, not knowing exactly where we were going to live, but you're right, Bunky. It's a long story, a long journey. I went into the Air Force, entered in the Air Force in 1991, and I retired in 2021. And met my husband about halfway through my service, got married, had our son. Our son is 14. And now I'm a business owner, author, speaker.
Yeah, I see all your books behind you.
Well, yeah, these are the books I've read a little bit over 2 years now. Just, things that during my journey I needed to read to kind of, get me going, because transition was a little bit scary and difficult. And so I display them here along with my book. And yeah, I'm living life to my fullest potential. That is what I am doing every single day now.
And
And
you
I'm
live
having a
it.
lot of fun.
You
I'm having
earn it.
a lot of fun.
You earn it. So you do it. And you were talking about your life, sort of, it's multifaceted, your career. I mean, like,
Yeah.
going from the military at 18 to doing what you're doing now is like crazy. What was the transition like? But okay, because you grew up, people got to understand you grew up in the military, so this is
Yeah.
something you've known your whole life.
My whole life.
When you were 18, shout out to everybody tuned in, Gabe, Finally TV, Time Fly, Damien, Leslie, Shirley, everybody. I just want to give you guys a shout out. You guys can ask questions. I forgot to mention that in the like last 15 minutes. Join in with the conversation. If you can't stay, I'll pin your question and we'll go on through there. But okay, so back to you. You started out military, traveling around the world, traveling with your dad or whatever. Decided to become a military.
Yeah, okay, but see, I guess I should back that up.
Okay.
Because I wasn't thinking about going into the Air Force, y'all. I I was doing my own thing, and I was hanging out with one of my girlfriends, and we were really close. And we were, what you say, she was that type of person that your parents didn't really want you to be hanging out with,
Yes, we all
because
have those.
you ended up getting in lots of troubles and so forth. And one day we were working, because we worked after we, did our college classes. And she said, "Hey, let's like go in the military." Now I had a sense of what it was, because my dad was in the military and very
Yes.
structured. He was disciplined, all those things. And she's like, "Have you ever heard of the buddy program?" And I'm like, "No." And my dad was an Air Force recruiter
Mhm.
at the same office that I walked in to get enlisted, but at the time he was not working. He had retired a few months earlier.
Okay.
So I didn't know anything about the buddy program. And my dad never spoke to that. So we get in there, and off I go over in the Air Force side, and off she goes over into the Army side. So she ended up doing 2 years in the Army, and I did 30 years in the Air Force. So math is not mathing.
No,
Okay.
it's not.
Numbers not numbering. And there was no buddy program. So it was like I went in and I realized that because of my upbringing,
Mhm.
that I was able to adjust and
Right.
be able to actually succeed in a lot of different ways. So that's really essentially how, I got in there, um, and made a career of it.
Long, beautiful career. It really is. I mean, it's so honorable. It is. People don't give you guys enough credit, I don't think. I mean, the things that you have
Mhm.
seen, experienced.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. So once again, I thank you again for giving up 30 years of your life, to
No,
protect their.
I think that, and thank you. I think that, a lot of times, here we gave up. It's a choice. Okay.
Right.
I chose to re-enlist every single time that I could because of the time that I was in my career and what I was making of it.
Uh-huh.
And I was impactful and I was, making a difference. So, and as a Black woman in the military, it's a little different. There were a lot of obstacles and
Mhm.
challenges that I had that not other people had. So, but I realized that I was much stronger than I ever thought I was. Um, so I chose to stay in and do the long haul. My husband also did 30 years of service.
Thank you
So
to him, Air Force
yeah,
also.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
All
yeah,
right. Oh,
yeah.
wow. So you have a son. Are you expecting him to go in the Air Force?
No, I
Okay.
don't expect. There's no expectation for him.
Okay.
We just decide he would
That
just do whatever
what he
he wants to do, and
okay.
we will support him when
Okay.
he does that. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay. So no pressure.
no
How did
pressure.
your experiences being in the Air Force shape your approach to leadership consulting outside of the armed forces? I mean, you already had the leadership. I mean, you retired at 30 years. So you had the leadership. How did that transition? Like what experiences did you take from there? Be like, okay, I need to help these people. But you probably didn't say it like that, but
Yep.
these people need help.
No, well, we were talking about the pandemic and how it kind of changed a lot of things for people.
Right.
And in the quiet, it was not a lot really going on initially. And so I was at home and it's about a year before I retired.
Okay.
And I first started out with a challenge. So I got challenged by someone who reached out to me, a mentor, and said, "Hey, so when are you going to write that book?" I think my earring's going to pop off here. "When are you going to write that book?" And I said, "What book?" He said, "The one that is about your 30-year career." Okay. So I took on his challenge and I just started writing during the pandemic. And I wrote the book, and that was like the first initial. It changed the way that I was going to retire because then I knew, oh, I write this book. Maybe I can go out and share with other people. Oh, well, by the way, I could probably start a business because I like to speak. And um, I just started making those steps. I just every day. But what I realized was the discipline, the
Okay.
structure, the resiliency, the grit, the tenacity that you have to have as an entrepreneur was the same sort of principles, philosophies that I used while I was in the military. So, I was directing and leading lots of people. So I can I just do this on my own? Let me see. Let me try this out. And it was the best decision that I made because I feel like I'm being a lot more impactful in a lot of different ways outside of the uniform.
Okay. I mean, that had to have been hard. I mean, it was easy to transition the discipline and the focus and all that, but you're just talking to yourself when you're writing a book, like, or is
Yeah,
it like journaling, like
it's
therapy?
like journaling. So I had deployed 5 times. And every time I deployed, I took a journal. Like I had a little book,
Oh,
notebook.
okay.
And
Okay.
so what I did was started looking at these journals, and they were, like teasers, if you will,
Mhm.
ticklers. Oh, wow, that occurred. That happened. That happened over here. So I took some of that information and I used it in my book.
Okay.
Because when you're trying to write from scratch, it could be hard to kind of think about what exactly how you want to start it. But but I wanted to do it chronologically from my first base to my last base. And then the last portion is about Slay.
Okay.
So
We're gonna talk about Slay.
yeah, yeah.
Where did that nickname Slay come from? Because it's powerful, and then it makes people be like, hmm. So it's a powerful, hmm. Like,
Yeah.
where did that come from? Slave Queen, the Slave Queen.
Yeah. So I had an airman who I was very close to
I
when I
remember that.
was stationed in Luke Air Force Base in Arizona. So if
Okay.
anyone's familiar with the military bases,
Wait. Luke Air Force. Let me write that down.
yeah,
I'm saying that, and it has nothing to do with you, but it's like
yeah,
I was going through ancestry because I was trying to find stuff on my uncle. He was 23 when he was killed, but he was in the Air Force, and he was in Arizona, so he was probably at Luke Air Force.
more than likely.
Okay, so that I'm sorry, that was just random. I'm like, wait a
Oh
minute.
no, that's perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
it's probably more than likely that base. It's in Glendale, Arizona. So we had this very close relationship. He was a medical technician, and he would come into my office and be like, Chief, and Chief was my rank, my last official rank in the military. Chief, you're slaying it. And, I'm like, oh, Lord, young folks, you don't know what they're saying. And I was just like, what does that mean? I don't even know what you're saying. And he's like, oh, you should look it up. So I looked it up, and it meant to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, to dream big and work hard until you own it.
Okay.
Okay. So unfortunately, he lost his battle with depression. He was going through a lot of different things. And it was 3 days before my last deployment. So I didn't get to attend his funeral. I didn't get to go to his memorial service. So I was extremely broken.
Mhm.
And I left for the deployment. And at the time, I was in Jordan and Kuwait. I was flying back and forth in between those two countries, which is about 800 miles apart from one another, because I had two locations that I was responsible for. And I just took the time to really think about our relationship, the word slay, how I'll pay homage to his life.
Okay.
What can I make of this slay? And I started to use it on emails and, speeches, that because I had to, always be on stage talking to my airmen or talking to squadrons. And I said, I'm just going to start using this as like my tag. And I started to see how people were taking it. And then I said, well, let me change this into something bigger. Like, it just can't just be slay. Like, you can't be just slaying out here. Let me make it into something meaningful. So each letter stands for a universal life and leadership philosophy that resonated with me on
Okay.
how I got to the point of, at that time, it was 27 years of service.
Okay.
So S means stay ready to be ready. L means to lead out loud. A is a sense of community, a sense of family, and Y is you are built to last. So I inject those.
That's a lot. That's a lot for you to come up with that and then to embody all of that. That's a lot. You got to be strong, confident.
And I tell you what, I own every bit of it. So when people start calling me, I got the nickname Slay Queen from other people. So when I started to say, hey, like, let's talk about this slay and be in our vision, I had airmen come up to me and say, Chief, you are a slay queen. And I said, I'll own that. I'll own that. I'll take that, because I am the type of person, I have a big personality. I have a lot of energy. I've gone through a whole lot. And every single day I step up to that challenge. You know what I mean? I have to step into that every single day.
Yeah.
I'm 51 years old, but I don't even feel like I'm 51. I feel like I'm just, 30s. I work out. I still do
I can
burpees.
tell. I see it.
That's the other reason why I'm called Slay Queen too, because I work out and I do sprints and burpees and, lift weights. And, I do all those things because it makes me feel at my best, and I show up differently. So it's a whole thing. It's
Yeah,
a whole thing. And Shirley Ann, I got these guns out for you because this when the sun's out, the guns are out. She said, "You see them guns?"
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at it on my yeah, I can tell. That's why mine are covered up. I can't. So okay, so that goes image. So you talk about image.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
Well, okay, so I started to look to see about my career and kind of what separated me from the rest.
Okay.
And one of those things was my image. I was a spitting image poster child, military, in my uniform, making sure I had creases in my sleeves, my boots were shined, my hair was slicked back. And I ended up getting like these high profile jobs while I was in the military. And I started to think about how did you get into those? It was my image. Because again, I talk an image in 4 different categories: appearance, behavior, communication, and now your online or your in-person presence.
Okay.
Right? So if you can master those 4 different areas, man, like success is just right around the corner.
You're unstoppable.
You're unstoppable.
Now, this is off because, like I said, conversation things are gonna change.
Yeah.
You talk about the appearance, behavior, communication, and presence, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell the younger generation coming up behind you? Because you talked about your either in-person or online presence.
Yeah.
And being of an older generation, I'm there with you. I'm actually older than you. Being of an older generation. I really, and I'd be like, it's just me. And I tell people, I get really disappointed with what I see.
Yeah.
How important is it? I mean, please tell these. Well, no, because they're going to do what they want to do anyway. But they're going to do what they. But how important is it to have your behavior and communication? People don't realize how that affects your life. Like you can be out there. This is just me, y'all. Don't come for me. You could be out there half dressed and twerking, right? Mm-hmm. No big company is going to want to hire you. You go in there with the lace, not even lace, netted outfit on.
Yes.
Appearance and presence.
Yes.
Communication, the way you speak, right?
Yeah.
What would you, or am I just looking too much into what they're doing?
You're not thinking too much in it. And here's the advice, because I can't control how other people dress and what they are doing and whatnot. Right. I know I can control how I show up.
Absolutely.
And, I always try to encourage, people who come to me to dress for where you want to go. Dress for what you want and how you want to become. If you want to do whatever it is that you do, and that's, a net shirt or, whatever you got going on, then that's fine. But you won't be able to get to certain places, if you will, because that is not the attire, that's not the appropriate attire for which that environment calls for. Mm-hmm. So you have to look at the environment in which you want to be. And if that's what you want to continue to do, fine. But if there is somewhere else you want to go, you have to be mindful that there is an image that they are seeing. Your companies and businesses have certain images that they will want to portray.
Right.
So if you come in there and you off and you're not looking the part or you're not acting the part, more than likely you're going to stay stagnant where you're at, or they may let you go. Okay. And sometimes people just don't know. So that's why I talk through dress codes. I kind of figure out where you at. Look what everybody else is doing. I'm not saying dress like they dressing.
Right.
All
Put
right,
your
because we
spin
all
on it.
got to have uniqueness about us and be authentic in our wear. But
Right.
understand, are you trying to go to the club? Okay. Or are you trying to go over here at a, Forbes, high-end company
We'll
and
get
get
to that
paid?
shot.
How to do
Well, we
explain?
might as well do that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you explain people who are billionaires who dress down? How do you explain people? Oh, how do you explain people who are billionaires who dress down? Like you see the Zuckerbergs and all them, they're
Oh
in
yeah.
t-shirts or whatever. He's not out there. I don't know, Sean, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, I think that's what he means.
Okay.
But there may be some history with that.
Right.
Right? They may have been dressing in a different way, but when they got to a point where now they can just kind of dress wherever they're at. So you look at Simon Cowell, all right? He's on American Idol, right? He wears the black t-shirt
That's all he
and blue
wears.
jeans.
Right.
All right. But I am sure if you go back into his history, that there was a different stage that he was at, that he was actually dressing the part to get where he needed to go. These folks don't happen overnight. Billionaires just don't happen overnight. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They have to they have to go through certain dockets. And unless they inherited money.
That's a fact right there.
Right? If you inherited money, okay. But if you have to work for what you have, and then you get to that point, then you could be a trendsetter and kind of do what you do.
Right.
But I always encourage people just to kind of look around, situational awareness. In the military, we call it essay. Essay. Take an essay. Situational awareness. Take a look at the situation around you.
I like that. Situation.
And I like Chevy's here. It's not about dressing fancy. It's about creating a brand, and that's their brand. Simple. Right. Simon Cowell's got a brand.
Right.
He can do that now.
Yeah. At one point, these people, to get where they are, they had to go into that office with a suit on or a shirt and a tie or a skirt or dress, nice pantsuit or whatever. At one point, they had to do this.
Yeah.
It just is what it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just have a thing with the young men with the pants falling down, and the women, the young ladies with that's just me. That's why I asked you that, because that drives me.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I see that on a daily, so I live here in the DMV. I see that daily. All right. But what I know for me, I'm going to come out presenting how I want to be taken. I want to be taken seriously.
Right.
I want people to respect me. Yes. I want people to know. I've got people who are always calling me yes, ma'am. I'm not even in the military. They calling me yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right. Because there's a certain aura you have about yourself.
Get that off. Yes.
When you're around people, and they respect you for that, because they like, you know what? They're taking care of themselves. Right. They really understand what it means to be in the room. Like my presence, I don't even have to walk in the room. People already know when Slay Queen, they know what's going to happen. When the Slay Queen enters your room, they know what's going to happen. It's elevation. Yeah. You ain't gonna be talking to me in any type of way. That's just not gonna happen. You may talk to somebody else like that, but it's because when you create a certain image of yourself, people just like, wow, okay. So it's just a little thought. It's psychological too. You have to have this psychological connection between what you're presenting and where you're at, and for the crowd that you're going to be in. Right. I have different clothing, if you will, for different environments.
Right.
In my brand. All right. So that way I can just pick stuff out, and I don't have to worry too much about what I'm going to wear, because I know the environment for which I'm going into.
Okay.
So,
right.
Yeah.
You're dressing for the part.
Dress for the part.
Yeah. Yeah. Your role as an image consultant, right?
Yeah.
You help individuals align their external presentation with their internal values and goals.
Yes.
Right. Can you share a transformative experience or success story from your consulting work? Like, has there
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I usually work with women that are retiring or transitioning from the military.
Okay.
And so, unfortunately, our closets are needing some help because khaki pants, cargo pants, polo shirts, t-shirts, those are kind of things that we are accustomed to being in uniform every day. So when you retire, you're like, I don't even know. So I recently helped a young woman. She retired after serving 26 years in the Navy.
Oh, thank you to
And
her.
yeah, and she is a consultant and a coach. And she's just like, I don't even know. And I was like, I got you. So
Mhm.
I take women to the store, the shopping store of their choice, and we look around and I pull out clothes for them that fits their body type and their expression of who they would like to, look like. Because everybody's got a vision of someone, maybe someone in the social medias, if you will, that they want to aspire to be. And for
Mhm.
her, it was Regina King. So I'm
Oh,
like,
that's good.
"Ye-
That's yeah.
yeah.
What a good
So
person to want to be. You're right. I respect it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then realizing what clothes look best on her, what colors look best on her, getting a color scheme. It was absolutely amazing. Then, like a few days later, after we went shopping, she had a workshop, and the confidence that she had, the ability to like just stand in her own, just to own every bit of the classroom. She felt so powerful
Mhm.
because she felt good.
Yeah.
She felt put together. And that's what I help women to do. I also help them with that language, right? Because there's a certain language, if you will, when you are in that outfit. I call power outfits, right?
You feel
So
powerful when you have
you
that power outfit on.
you
You do.
do,
Yes, you do.
but we take it from the head to the toe. Like, let's
Yes.
look at this hair, let's look at this makeup, make sure it's all kind of going together. I'm not talking about beating your face and
Right.
having, a whole bunch of stuff on you, but making sure that you are put together in a way where you're feeling very good, like you're feeling good. And I like the word powerful, like you're
Okay.
powerful in you.
Right.
And her presentation, she's like, people were just so excited about it. And it was like, say, girl, it's the outfit. Okay.
She wasn't wearing military clothes. And you mentioned I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so you served 30 years in the military.
Yeah.
You come out. You had to find your own look.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Like you didn't have a sleigh. Did you have a
No,
sleigh out there to help you put
no,
your stuff together? Because going through your page, I'm looking at you. I'm like, does she dress up all the time? I'm like, is
pretty
she
much.
okay? All right. So somebody, how did that look for you?
Well, I'd always liked fashion. Before I
Mhm.
went into the military, I had this picture of me in a pink dress that my mom actually made,
Okay.
and it's got little black handkerchief in the pocket.
Okay.
And so I'd always liked the color pink. But when I was transitioning, I just for some reason it just clicked. Girl, you need to be in pink. Okay? You need to find all the pink, figure out how you can pop it in every, underneath the blazer, or having a sweatshirt, or it just came together. And I feel like this is the color. This is my color.
Mhm.
And I think it's just the going back to what it was before I went into the military, rediscovering who I am,
Okay.
what I like, what I don't like, and kind of I had to like do a lot of shedding of things that, I had some trauma when I was in the military, as a lot of
Mhm.
us do. So I had to realize, okay, what in me is for me to feel very energetic and feeling like I can tackle on anything, because transition is hard. Anybody says, "Oh, it's easy," well, I don't know. I guess mine have been up and down. It's an up
Mhm.
and down. But I just discovered that that's really where my confidence lies is in
Mhm.
pink.
Okay.
And people notice, people, I get
Mhm.
it noticed all the time. People will come up to me places I don't even know. Like
Mhm.
I'm out eating and they're like, "Are you the slay queen?"
Because of the pink.
It's the pink.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, people got to find their color.
Yeah.
Like I
Like you
always
got
like,
purple.
yeah, that's my color. And I ran into someone and she was like, every time I see you, like when I'm on the show, I don't always have purple, but I make sure I got my purple background.
Yeah.
She's like, every time I see you, you have on something purple. I'm like, because that is my color right there,
Yeah.
like that. Like I love all shades of. When I have purple on, I feel powerful. I feel like I can do anything I want. But this somebody has sent me a message and it makes sense. Maybe you can speak a little bit on this. I received a message from someone who, a little torn about the dressing thing, about
Oh, yeah, yeah.
dress. Um, because the person said they know a lot of people that really aren't really nice people. They're like um losers. They're fronting for the gram, fronting for internet. Because social media, I had people believing that they're successful,
Mm.
but in all actuality, they're not. And that's something like I tell people how people live that fake life in front of the camera,
Oh, yeah.
So when you see people that, well, no, you really don't have to answer. You don't even have to talk on that. But that was just a comment, and it makes a lot of sense because you'll see a lot of people on social media
Yeah.
that are projecting a certain lifestyle.
But it's because you can, right?
Yeah,
Social media, you can be whoever you want to be. The
right,
problem for me is when I see you in person and you are not the same person that I see on social media,
right.
then for me, that gives me kind of the side eye. And I'm like, "Oh, what we doing? What we doing?"
Yeah,
Right? And it's not sustainable. I'll tell you that right now. It's
no,
not sustainable. You can only
no,
keep that up for so long. But if
right.
you're not really passionate about what you're doing and how you're doing it and really looking the part, you're not going to be what you say you are. And
Yes,
that's sad.
come out. Right.
That's a sad state to be in your life.
Yes, it
So
is. You got to be authentic, true to yourself.
yeah,
Everybody knows what you see.
is what you
You
get.
want to see that tomorrow, next year,
Yeah.
15 years. I am Bunky. I am who I am. There's
Yeah.
no changing. But thank you for that. Thank you for that. Um, you're an author.
Yeah.
Um, let me see. You're self-published.
Yeah.
Um, um, how does okay, you wrote your book, you spoke about that earlier. It was a challenge, right? The book
Yeah.
initially was a challenge from
Yeah.
somebody, challenged you to do that.
Yeah.
Um, how does writing, being a published author, um, complement your speaking and your consultation work? Like, how do they work together? Because you're a speaker,
Hmm.
you're an author, you're a consultant. How does that all? And you're military. I'm just trying to put all those together. It's like, oh,
I am so layered, Bunky.
it's so
It's a
many. It's
layered
like, oh
effect
my
here.
God, yes. You peel back one layer, like, wait a minute. Like, so how did you make all of that
Work.
gel? Yes.
Yeah. Well, okay. So my book is kind of in the back of my business, if you will.
Okay.
It's my business card. All right. Because a lot of times when I, as a military veteran, especially woman veteran, there it could be a little bit scary and intimidating to like, meet me and I speak to what I've done and, kind of how I've done it. And instead of going through the rigmarole, if you will, of this, that, and the third, I just hand them the book or, I offer it when I go vending because I want people to get to know me before they, want to, collaborate with me
Mhm.
because I'm so layered and there's a lot going on. Right. So I use it as, again, as a means to communicate to someone else, like, don't be scared. Don't be scared. Don't fear. Okay. I am harmless. I am not going to get all crazy,
Mhm.
but here are some of my experiences. So it works perfectly with what I'm doing. I just showcase that. If someone calls and wants to, hire me as a public speaker, then I'll send them a book so they can get to know me a little bit. And then once they read it, like, wow, okay, so
Mhm.
then they get it. Then they just get it, So I'm glad that I was able to write the book. I'm glad I actually did it and finished it. And I did self publish it on my own because, sometimes we have that scary sense of, oh my gosh, I'm going to put something out here that everybody's going to read and I don't know what they're going to say. And you get all this doubt about it. So instead of going through like the process that you would by hiring, someone to publish it for you, I just went to Amazon because I heard that you could actually submit
Hmm.
your book and you could submit it to Amazon KDP and you can load it in there with the book cover and they print the book. Now they get royalties from that, or
Mhm.
they get a portion of your book and you get royalties. So, you know what I mean? It's just like, I just felt like if I did something like
Yes,
that,
they do pretend. Yeah,
yeah,
that's I didn't know you can do something like that. That's pretty awesome.
I just went on my own and then said, I'm going to make it happen. You're in the military, stuff like that always comes to you. We are challenged all the time.
Mhm.
And you have to figure out different ways to solve problems. I probably got a million and one ways to solve one problem. And so when you have that mindset, and it's very strategic and it's very like I can solve complex problems
Mhm.
by just, tweaking it out. Like this right here was a no-brainer for me. I'm like, oh, there's a mechanism. Oh, there's a vehicle for which I could print this book. Oh, I'm not even gonna tell nobody. I just did it. I told my husband after I published it. I said, hey, I published a book today. He said, what?
I know, like that's random.
He knew
Like
I was
random.
working on it, but he
Mhm.
didn't know I had published. He's like, okay.
Now, what is in
Okay.
this book?
Yeah.
You mentioned how, I mean, I like the way you said that, how you use the book as your business card
Yeah.
because people could be intimidated by you,
Yeah.
which is great to
Yeah.
say that because I remember when Shirley was talking about everybody in her village, her group, she gave me a bunch of names, right? She gave me a Bunky, you ought to get in touch with them, and they do this, they do that. And I saw your name. Well, all the ladies on the list. I was like, I'm not talking to them. I was like, no, I'm like, you're bugging. They're not gonna come on my show. What can I say to them? I was terrified. I reached out to Leslie, boom, she was on.
Yeah.
I reached out to you, boom, you was on. So now I'm like, okay, maybe I ought to hit up the rest of the group because you
Oh
guys
yeah.
aren't terrifying. You're,
No.
you're approachable.
Yeah. We have gone through a lot, but and sometimes we do put up the wall, right?
Mhm.
Because and I know I'm speaking from my experiences. I got to feel you out first. I can't just
Yes.
be like, all right, let me
Yeah.
just get in here and just give you all the information and tell you all
Right.
the things. I got to
Right.
feel people out because, a lot of the trust that I thought was there in some relationships I had in the military really wasn't there. And so you just have to be able
Yeah.
to, I use my gut. I do a lot of things from my gut. And I have that gut instinct of when it feels right. And
Triangle
so when
nation. Right.
yeah, so when you reached out, I was like, well, you are sharp, you're Shirley Ann's friend. So yes, I'm gonna come on to the show.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, Shirley. Look, I'm getting creds just by knowing. All right. Thank you. You mentioned how it was basically a no-brainer for you to do this book when you're trying to figure out the parts, right? How you solve problems. But yeah, you do solve, like, that was not a problem really for you. If you think about being a captain, you were a captain,
I was a chief
a chief.
master sergeant.
Okay, so if you're a chief in the Air Force, all the problems that probably came up to you then, those were problems, right?
Yeah,
No,
I mean, yeah. I mean,
probably.
you got different levels. There's different level of problems when
Okay.
you're even when you're at the highest enlisted position, you still have some people who don't want to solve their problem. All right, when they're
Mhm.
capable of solving the problem.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and so they want you to solve their problem for them. So
Yes.
and it's like, like I don't know why you're bringing this to me, but okay, so
Yeah.
you have to go through it. So anything from the smallest to bigger problems, if you will, I wouldn't say there were problems or challenges. You know, they do come,
Mhm.
and when they do come, you've got to just be able to step into it, just knowing that there are options, and
Yes.
then make a decision. Folks can't make a decision. All right. Now I can make a decision in a heartbeat. All right. I can make a
Yes.
decision like that. If you bring something to me and you want me to make a decision and you giving me three options here,
Mhm.
I'll pick one of those options and I'll go for it. But some people have a hard time doing that because
Mhm.
they don't want to mess up anything. They
Yeah.
don't want to fail. They don't want to make a mistake. So I'm
That's
like,
the
but
way
what
you
you
learn as
learning?
well.
You learn from
Right.
mistake. You got to learn,
Right.
so
Absolutely.
yeah. So I mean, writing the book was not a problem. It was a challenge for me, but I
Mhm.
still had to learn how to actually download it, make it formatted in a certain way. It's still like a little off, but that's all right. And get the picture on there. I mean, it still had a lot of things that you still have to navigate through.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
And you did that by yourself. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But congratulations. That's good because that's you learn. So your next book, you know exactly what to do. Like, okay,
The
I got
next
this
book,
one.
yeah, like I know people, like hint, hint, I know a lot of people,
Yes,
Leslie,
yeah,
who
I was gonna
does
say
like
Leslie. Right.
publishing and so forth.
Mhm.
But it was my first book, and I wanted like these are the things that I chose to do to take a leap of faith,
Mhm.
especially coming out of the military. We are so structured and in a system. It's almost like you're in a bubble and you don't know
Yeah.
what's going on the outside. Like you truly don't know what's going on in the world. You only know what's going on in the military world.
Uh-huh.
But when you go out and you're transitioning, I just wanted to try things that I just want to feel like, man, I can accomplish that. Yeah, I can accomplish a lot of things out of the uniform. It's okay, So
Mhm.
it again, it just allowed me to transition a little bit more smoother um in my own way.
Okay. Now for because look, time is just zooming by. I'm like,
Oh
what
yeah, of course it is. It always does.
for the people that are listening, right, who want to go into a leadership role, entrepreneurship, or like that, be their own boss. What piece of advice or wisdom could you give them that you found to be helpful for you? Like, what would you tell someone who wants to go into entrepreneurship? Because some people think it's easy. It looks glamorous. What would you? It does. They don't realize the
Oh
work
yeah.
behind it. But what would you
Y-
tell someone?
I would tell them that they need to find information and research about
Mhm,
entrepreneurship. Go to the Barnes and Nobles or your local library and get a book on being an entrepreneur.
mhm.
I think you're right. People look on the outside and they see, oh my goodness, they're successful. Well, the reality is that when you're a solopreneur, you're doing all the work.
Yes.
So just think about it, all the things that you have done to get on this talk show up, this podcast up, the
Yeah.
behind the scenes work. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
It's a
There's a
lot.
lot of steps that go into going into that.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to do that type of work, then this is not for you. Entrepreneurship is not for you because you have to be able to figure out exactly what you want to do, and
Right.
you've got to stay in it. You got to be consistent,
Yes.
and that means you showing up.
Yes.
You got to show up. You can't just say I'm an entrepreneur, all right, and then really in reality it's an expensive hobby. All right, we talking about
That's
bank
good.
accounts.
An expensive
Okay,
hobby.
you got to have
Exactly.
some legit bank accounts. You
Yes.
got to have paperwork. You've got to get signed off from the state. This
Yes.
stuff is not just, I want a business and you ain't got no LLC.
Right.
It's a whole lot
I'm
of
the
stuff.
LLC, y'all. I am the LLC.
The LLC.
I'm an LLC. Tea Time with
Yeah,
Bunky
but
LLC.
you know what? LLC requires you to do certain
Yes.
things for
Gotta
you
do the
to
work.
sustain
Yes.
it, right?
Yes.
And that's why you hear a lot of business owners going out of business the first and second years of business because they didn't know anything about cash flow. They don't know about projections. They don't know about, the future costs, how to go and ask for a loan if you need a loan to start the business. There's a lot that goes into
I'm learning.
entrepreneurship. But what I would share outside of that is what I share with a lot of people when I do my presentations. The first is personal branding. You got to have personal branding down pat. You've got to be able to market yourself, okay? Because in a world of so many, there's a lot of speakers, there's a lot of leadership consultants, there's a lot of image consultants. What is going to differentiate yourself from everybody else?
Right.
So if you don't have personal branding down, like you may not see your entrepreneur journey like you would like to.
Right.
Second, you're going to have to know how to manage crisis. You don't know how to manage crises. Okay, when the Zoom goes off, when this StreamYard goes off,
Right.
right? And then you get all upset, all right? Or people don't show up for your event, and then all this other stuff. So you have to be able to manage and have some self-control through this.
Right. You do.
And then you have to build a community. That's the other piece of advice. You have to have people with shared interests, shared purpose, shared identities, if you will, that are going to support you. And you need to have 4 people. And if one person can be these 4 people, then okay. But you need to have a mentor or a coach, a collaborator, a cheerleader, and a devil's advocate.
You know what? I have all of them.
If you have all of them,
Not all of those.
then that you run things by them. And so that way they can tell you, hey, you're good, or like you way off. You need to rethink that.
Right.
All right. And then lastly, you have to have a prosperous mindset. All right. And the components of prosperous mindset are abundance, growth, and unattachment. And so when I talk to those 3 things, like let's stop getting attached to things that you think that are good. All right. When in reality, they're not. Let that stuff go. If it was meant for you, it will come back to you.
That's a fact.
Have a growth mindset where you're open, you're coachable, you're learning, you're growing. Get in circles of people that are actually doing something in the entrepreneurship. I'm part of 4 or 5 different communities within my community. Chamber of Commerce, Business Women's Network. These people are about business. So I hang out with them and I go to conferences and I network like crazy. If you're not networking, because people don't know you. I think people always think I start a business and people are going to come to me.
Right. No,
that doesn't happen.
You're right.
No.
Yes, I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed that tonight. Thank you.
You do?
I'm sure. I'm like, I don't go outside. I'm like, I'm not going out.
Oh, yeah. I meet so many people, especially being in the military, because we are so used to having people who have the same life as we do.
Right.
And realizing that's a whole new world of other people with different perspectives and insights and experiences. So every time I go out, I learn something new all the time. I carry my little notebook around and I just, after I get done with the conference, I go in my car and just write stuff out because I'm like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I ought to either have my mic on or have a little notebook in my back pocket or whatever. Just something. Yeah, I need to take notes. I need to start getting out more. I do have, I have the mentor, coach, collaborator, devil's advocate. I have those people in my corner. So I'm a
Yeah.
part of the VGN Village Global Network. And so
Yeah.
I have those type of people, that are rooting for me, that'll tell me, maybe, I don't have yes people. I don't have yes
Yeah.
people on me. You can't
Yeah.
have yes people around you. And people that are always trying to push me to do better. Like when I have a situation online, like something that happened, and they'll walk me through it online. So
That's
like
right.
I have that village, and you need that. You
Yeah.
can't do it all by yourself. You are, but you aren't. You got to have somebody. You have
Yeah.
to have somebody there.
Yeah.
Um, are there any projects or goals that you're excited about that are coming up?
Yeah.
Anything you want
Well,
to name?
I have a free session actually coming up on Monday, the 5th,
Let me see.
at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you go to my website, it's right there on the front page there. But I'm offering a free session on elevating your presence. And this is
And
just
that's
a
at
way
8 p.m.
on
Okay.
Monday night. And it's just a way for people to get to know me, for one, and two, to learn more about how I was able to get so many opportunities since I retired. So
Okay.
I think this podcast is probably, I think about like 50 something. I
Oh
don't know
my
exactly
Lord.
50 something, but
Okay.
I've been on a lot of podcasts. I've gotten speaking engagements where I traveled to
Mhm.
Alaska. I went to New Mexico. I've been to Missouri, all these different places to
Mhm.
share my message, share my story. My LinkedIn profile is hot. It's hot, y'all. It's because it went from 0,
Mhm.
okay, to now we almost at 3,000 in a matter of, months. And I get all my opportunities from LinkedIn. And so a lot of times people don't understand how to elevate their presence to get those desirable opportunities.
Mhm.
But on Monday, I'm going to be sharing some, few strategies. I'm not going to go deep, 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 but we're
Right.
going to have some few strategies. So that way that you feel comfortable and confident on trying, some of the strategies that I'm going to share and seeing whether or not they make a difference for you. Because I
Oh,
feel like everyone has a story, everyone has a message.
right.
The fact of the matter is, how do you get yourself out there to be known?
I have to utilize LinkedIn more. I don't
Yeah.
utilize it like I should because I never
Yeah.
thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Um, oh,
Oh,
I will
yeah.
be tuned in. I will set my alarm 8 o'clock. I will be there.
Please, yes.
Yeah, because
I would love to have you.
I want to learn all I can. I just really want to learn all I can. I want to be the best me that I can possibly be. That's
Yeah.
basically.
I guess the one thing that I really am passionate about is the time, right? I
Mhm.
realize that most of my time was spent in the military. So in this next chapter, it's almost as if I had all that time to accelerate. Like I am in this, I'm gas on a pedal. Gas on a pedal. Like these are the things that I wanted to do. These are the things I said I'm going to do. So I'm taking it for all it can give me. So,
I hear you.
I put my whole self out here
Mhm.
to really try. And I wouldn't say I'm trying. I think I know I'm doing more of expressing myself, inspiring others, and getting them to know that they have it within them. You can do it. I'm that type of person. I love to share as much as I can about what I'm doing. So I'm my blueprint, if you will. And
Mhm.
so I'm sharing with other people about how I got to this point. So it's kind of my first course, if you will, about this, because I
Okay.
haven't done this before.
Sounds good. It sounds good. So before we close out, could you just share with the people where they can find you and learn more about your work, possibly work
Okay.
with you? So where could
Yeah. If you go to, I see the banner down here. That's my website, slaytosuccess.com. If you find me on LinkedIn, it's Rochelle Hemingway with 1 M, and you'll find me there. You'll find me on YouTube. I actually got 2 video stacks, if you will. One for Slate to Success talk show that I have on
Yeah, we didn't even
Sundays
get
at
into
7
that.
p.m.
Yeah.
Eastern Standard Time. And then I also have personal branding 10-minute videos. So if you're just wanting to know what personal branding is about and you're interested, I have some videos there that you can watch and get a sample. I'm also on Facebook. So all my Facebook family and my friends, thank you for tuning in, because most of them are here, probably just looking in, just to see what's happening. But Facebook, where else can you find? I'm on Instagram, the Slay Boss Lady. All right. So you can find me there. So yeah, those are where I'm fine. But I'm in LinkedIn every day. So if you really want to see what's happening, go to LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, then you need to be at the March 5th class. I'm just telling you right now.
Be at the March 5th class, you guys.
At 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And go to my website and sign up.
Oh, okay. So you got to sign up. Okay, that's good, because I would have been like,
RSVP, because the
Okay.
seats, they start filling up in there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, you know what? This was a great conversation. Thank you
Good.
so much. I enjoyed this. I
I
enjoyed
did too.
talking to you. Getting to meet Miss Slay Queen that Shirley talks so much about.
Oh, I love Shirley Ann.
Yeah, how can you not? How can
I
you
know.
not? So you guys, once again, you can well, thank you for tuning in. Once again, you can find this conversation next Thursday at 8 a.m. on Culture Shock Radio, Rockbox Radio, Radio Facero in Mexico, Wapta Music FM. Next Sunday at 12 p.m. on Confidence Radio, which is all on Zeno FM with additional online supports by Radio Music Box. You can just, to make it easier for you, just download the VGN app, which is available on Android and iOS, and it's free, you guys. So that way you can find it, click on it, and hear the conversation. It's totally different on radio, you guys, totally different. And it's airing in 191 countries. It's on, well, after tonight, it'll be on the podcast platforms, Pandora Radio, Stitcher, Spotify, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Pocket Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Cashbox, and Amazon Music. So after tonight, you'll be able to, after tonight, you'll be able to hear this show again. So once again, you guys, thank you so much, Rochelle. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. No, thank you. I appreciate you.
I have a bunch of stuff for you after. I will talk to you guys later. You have a fabulous night. Be safe. Say something kind. Everybody get out there and register to vote. If you're not registered, get out there and register. Appreciate you all.